A single word, spoken in a room full of cameras, changed everything. When Song Weilong quietly said, "I love you," the world froze. But it wasn't just his voice that shook fans. It was the silent, trembling reaction of Zhao Jinmai that made hearts break and believe. At first, it was just another ordinary press event. Lights flashing, cameras clicking, polite smiles exchanged between actors who had done this 100 times before. Nothing felt unusual, until it did. When Song Weilong stepped forward to speak, something shifted. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but for those who were watching closely, the atmosphere changed. His voice slowed down, his expression softened, and for a brief moment, he hesitated. That hesitation felt louder than any applause in the room, because it wasn't scripted, it wasn't rehearsed. It was the kind of pause that comes when someone is standing at the edge of something real, something they can no longer hide. And then it happened. "I love you." 3 words. Simple, familiar. But in that moment, they didn't feel simple at all. They felt heavy. The audience reacted instantly. Gasps, whispers, a wave of energy spreading across the room. But what truly ignited the moment wasn't just what he said. It was how he said it. There was no smile to soften it. No playful tone to dismiss it. Just sincerity. Raw, unfiltered sincerity. And suddenly, the question wasn't what did he say, but who was he saying it to? Because for fans, there was only one name that mattered. Xiao Gene Mai. The name that had been quietly linked to his for so long. The name that always appeared in the same sentence, the same rumors, the same whispered speculations. Their chemistry had never gone unnoticed. On screen, it was undeniable, effortless, natural, almost too real. But off-screen, that was where things became even more intriguing. The shared laughter that lingered just a little too long. The glances that seemed to say more than words ever could. The comfort between them that didn't feel like acting. Fans had seen it. They had felt it. But until that moment, it was always just a possibility. A maybe, a what if. And now, suddenly, it didn't feel like a question anymore. Because as soon as those words left Song Weilong's lips, every eye in that room, and beyond it, turned to her. Zhao Jinmai didn't rush to respond. No sudden reaction, no dramatic gesture, just a pause. But it was in that pause where everything began to unfold. Because while the world was still processing the weight of Song Weilong's words, all eyes instinctively turned to her. And what they saw was not indifference. It was something far more delicate. Her posture shifted ever so slightly, as if the moment had caught her off guard. Her gaze didn't immediately meet his. Instead, it lingered somewhere in between. Uncertain, searching, almost as if she was trying to steady herself in front of an emotion she hadn't prepared to face publicly. Her smile appeared, but it wasn't the usual effortless smile fans were used to. It stayed longer. It trembled just slightly. And in her eyes, there was a softness that hadn't been there before. Not staged, not performed, but felt deeply. There are moments in life where words become unnecessary, where the heart speaks through the smallest, most unguarded details. And this felt like one of those moments. Because even as she maintained composure, there was a quiet struggle beneath the surface. A hesitation, a vulnerability, a fleeting expression that suggested she was holding something back, not because she didn't feel it, but because she couldn't let it fully show. Later, when microphones were placed in front of her and questions carefully danced around that one moment everyone was obsessing over, Zhao Jinmai chose her words with precision. Short answers, gentle deflections, nothing definitive. But it wasn't what she said that stayed with people. It was what she couldn't say. The slight pause before answering. The way her eyes softened when his name was mentioned. The almost invisible breath she took, as if steadying something fragile inside her. And suddenly, fans began to realize this wasn't just a reaction. It was a feeling carefully hidden in plain sight. The moment didn't just stay in that room. It escaped. And once it did, there was no stopping it. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Clips replayed endlessly, slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed frame by frame. Fans dissected every detail like it was a scene from a drama. Except this time, it didn't feel fictional. It felt real. Painfully real. The way Song Weilong's voice carried a quiet weight. The way Zhao Jinmai's expression subtly changed. Every second became evidence. Every glance became a clue. Hashtags surged. Fan theories multiplied. Some believed it was a genuine confession, something that had been building for a long time, finally slipping out in a moment of emotional honesty. Others questioned it. Was it taken out of context? Was it simply a line, misinterpreted by an audience already eager to believe in something more? But even among the skeptics, there was uncertainty, because something about that moment refused to feel ordinary. In an industry where every word is often calculated, every gesture carefully controlled, this felt unscripted, unprotected, human. And perhaps that's why it resonated so deeply. Because it reminded people of something rare, that even in the spotlight, where everything is polished and perfected, real emotions can still break through. And when they do, they leave a mark, a lasting one. Days have passed, but the feeling hasn't faded. If anything, it has only grown stronger. Now, every appearance by Song Weilong and Zhao Jinmai is viewed through a different lens. Not just as actors, not just as co-stars, but as two individuals connected by a moment that felt too genuine to ignore. Fans watch more closely now. A glance becomes meaningful. A smile becomes significant. Even silence becomes something worth questioning. And yet, despite all the attention, all the speculation, all the longing for answers, nothing has been confirmed. No clear explanation. No direct acknowledgement. Only that one moment suspended in time. Because sometimes the most powerful emotions are not the ones declared loudly. They're the ones that exist quietly in between words. And what is said, and what is carefully left unsaid. Was it a confession? Or simply a feeling that slipped through for just a second too long? Was her reaction a reflection of something real? Or a moment of surprise, magnified by millions of watching eyes? No one knows for certain. But maybe certainty isn't what makes this story so unforgettable. Maybe it's the uncertainty, the possibility, the fragile, beautiful tension between what we see and what we feel. Because in that single word, love, there was a door opened. Not fully, not clearly, but just enough for the world to wonder what lies behind it. And perhaps that's why this moment continues to linger. Because deep down, people don't just want answers. They want to believe. Believe that something real can exist, even under the brightest lights. Believe that emotions can slip through even the most controlled situations. Believe that maybe, just maybe, what we witnessed was not the end of a story, but the beginning of one that is yet to be told.